Hello, this is Jen Kitzmiller. I'm a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service in Missoula, and I will be conducting your Sunday, September 14th fire weather briefing. So I wanted to start with a satellite water vapor image. This is taken from today, Sunday, at approximately noon. And there's a couple features of interest that I'd like to point out for you guys that are going to affect our weather as we move through the week. And the first is this ridge of high pressure, which has set up along the west coast and is going to strengthen into Idaho and Montana from Monday and Tuesday. And of particular interest, if you look along the west coast of Oregon here, you'll notice these dark orange colors. That represents very dry air in the atmosphere that will be moving into Idaho and Montana for Monday and Tuesday. A second feature of interest is here south of Baja California. This is Hurricane Odile, and this is one that we're kind of keeping an eye on because there are some forecast models indicating some moisture from that system may get entrained up into this general direction later this week as a trough of low pressure is expected to approach. So I'll come back to that here in a few slides, but just kind of wanted to point that out. So for Monday, Tuesday, as I mentioned, that ridge is going to be moving into place and strengthening. And so with that, we are expecting temperatures to warm, in fact, back up to above normal for this time of year. And with that warming, we're also going to be seeing our RHs drying out in the afternoons. In fact, some of the valley locations could even be back down into the low to mid-teens for RHs by Monday and Tuesday afternoons. And as would be expected with this ridge of high pressure, we are going to be expecting to see some strong inversions and thermal belts setting up with very poor RH recoveries expected on the mid-slopes and ridges, and this is especially true for Monday night into Tuesday morning. Another thing of note, that dry air that I pointed out on water vapor, that's going to also act to elevate our Haines index, generally across the whole western Montana, north central Idaho area, and we'll be expecting Haines of 4s and 5s for Monday particularly. One kind of just note I'd like to make for anyone out there that's hoping to do prescribed burning on Tuesday, particularly if you're sensitive to cloud cover, it does look like we'll have some increasing cloud as we move through the day Tuesday. So just something to keep in mind there. For Wednesday, we do kind of try to transition the flow a little bit. If the flow becomes more southwesterly and we get a little disturbance moving through the top of the ridge. So it's still going to be a warm and dry day. However, on top of that, we're going to have increasing southwest to westerly winds. So something to keep in mind, a little bit of a change. The first couple of days we won't have a lot of wind, but Wednesday looks like a day where that will start to change a little bit. Also of note on Wednesday, there are some indications of a little bit of moisture making its way up into southwest Montana, which would most likely come in the form of showers and thunderstorms. So it is possible for areas like the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest and possibly even the southern Bitterroot National Forest to see a few storms on Wednesday afternoon. The big change comes Thursday into Friday of this week. That's when that trough of low pressure is expected to move through. So with that, we're expecting some fairly widespread showers and possibly some thunderstorms mixed in with that, especially on Thursday afternoon. With that, this will also most likely be the breeziest day, generally kind of west winds expected on Thursday afternoon. The one fortunate thing is this trough will be bringing in some cooler temperatures and some higher humidity, so we'll get a little bit of relief in that sense. One thing I want to point out, this image here is showing a model forecast for precipitation, and you'll see this band of precipitation extending up all the way from kind of central Nevada all the way up into central and eventually eastern Montana. And so right now our forecast models are actually showing most of that moisture, which originates from Hurricane Odile, not quite making it into western Montana and north central Idaho. It looks like it'll make it further off to our east. So at this point, we don't have a lot of confidence in wetting rains, especially in terms of how widespread they'll be. However, we're definitely going to be still watching this because being several days out, the forecast models could change, where they move that moisture, and a slight change and that could have big implications on how wet we get on Thursday. So just something to keep in mind and stay tuned to as we move through the week. For those of you that might be looking for the next burn window, it does look like there may be another opportunity out there. Forecast models are showing a potential ridge, once again, ridge of high pressure, beginning next weekend. So this outlook here is for September 19th through the 23rd, and you'll see that the forecast is for above normal temperatures once again across Idaho and Montana, and average to maybe below average precipitation. So that's all I have for you guys today. Feel free to give us a call at any time if you need any additional information or need help with any of your burns that you're planning out there. And otherwise, we'll talk to you guys again on Thursday, September 18th. Thank you.